Hello everyone, my name is Scott. You may know me as the short guy that sits in the back of the classroom. Today we're going to be talking about consciousness. Now, what is consciousness? Consciousness is an individual's awareness of external events and internal sensations under a condition of arousal as defined in our book for class. Basically, it's our awareness of ourselves and our environment. It's this awareness that allows us to take in and organize information from many sources and senses at once. Throughout our daily lives, we flip back and forth between various states of consciousness, including waking, sleeping, and various altered states. These can occur spontaneously, like dreaming, or be physiologically sparked, like a drug-induced hallucination, or be triggered psychologically through meditation or hypnosis, for example. Consciousness is a crucial part of human experience. Our conscious awareness represents that private inner mind where we think, feel, plan, wish, pray, imagine, and quietly relive experiences. In 1890, psychology pioneer William James described the mind as a stream of consciousness, a continuous flow of changing sensations, images, thoughts, and feelings. William James was a psychologist and philosopher who had a major influence on the development of psychology in the United States. Among his many accomplishments, he was the first to teach psychology course in the U.S. and is often referred to as the father of American psychology. The content of our awareness changes from moment to moment. Information moves rapidly in and out of consciousness. Our minds can race from one topic to the next. For example, right now you're listening to my presentation, but for one split second, that can change to anything like, what am I going to have for dinner? To this chair is uncomfortable. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be paying attention in class. Now let's go back to the question of what consciousness for a moment is. According to our textbook, we define consciousness in terms of its two parts, awareness and arousal. Consciousness is an individual's awareness of external events and internal sensations under a condition of arousal. Awareness includes awareness of oneself and thoughts about one's experiences. Consider that on a fall afternoon when you see a beautiful tree vibrant with color. You do not simply perceive the colors, you are also aware that you are seeing them. We know that the two aspects of consciousness, awareness and arousal, are associated with different parts of the brain. First, let's consider the brain areas and processes associated with awareness, the subjective state of being conscious of what is going on. Areas of that prefrontal cortex appear to be especially involved in the ways that awareness goes beyond the input sensory information. For instance, these areas of the brain are active when we taste complex flavors such as sriracha and track the subjective pleasure that accompanies rewarding experiences. However, scientists still do not know many of the details that link consciousness with brain states. The second part of consciousness is arousal, the physiological state of being engaged with the environment. Thus, a sleeping person is not conscious in the same way that he or she would be while awake. Arousal refers to the ways that awareness is regulated. If we are in danger, we might need to be on high alert. But if we are in a safe environment with no immediate demands, we can relax and our arousal may be quite low. We will get into the different levels of awareness here shortly. Now, you might think of consciousness as the mind, the part of yourself that contains your private thoughts and feelings. It might seem obvious that other people have private thoughts and feelings as well, but the human ability to recognize the subjective experience of another is a true developmental accomplishment. Requiring the ability to think about others in a particular way refers to individuals' understandings that they and others think, feel, perceive, and have private experiences. Although previous research suggested that the theory of mind was likely to emerge around the age of 4. More recent studies have shown that the tasks used to measure the theory of mind are simplified. Even younger children demonstrate a capacity to understand that other people have their own perspective on things. Let's move on to awareness. The flow of sensations, images, thoughts, and feelings can occur at different levels of awareness. Although we might think of consciousness as either present or not, there are in fact shades of awareness, just as there are shades in perception and signal detection theory. Here we will consider the 5 levels of awareness: higher level consciousness, lower level consciousness, altered states of consciousness, subconscious awareness, and no awareness. Higher level consciousness involves controlled processing in which individuals actively focus their efforts on attaining a goal and is the most alert state of consciousness. Example, doing a math problem or preparing for a debate. Lower level consciousness includes automatic processing that requires little attention as well as daydreaming. Example, punching in a phone number or typing on a keyboard when one is an expert at it. Altered states of consciousness can be produced by drugs, trauma, fatigue, possibly hypnosis, and sensory deprivation. Example, feeling the effects of having taken alcohol or psychedelic drugs, or undergoing hypnosis to quit smoking or to lose weight. Subconscious awareness can occur when people are awake as well as when they are sleeping and dreaming. Example, sleeping and dreaming. No awareness can be basically described as unconscious thoughts, which is a reservoir of unacceptable wishes, feelings, and thoughts that are beyond conscious awareness. Example, blind rage or being knocked out by a blow or anesthetized. Next, we are going to talk about sleep and dreams. By this point in your life, you have had quite a bit of experience with sleep. You already know that sleep involves a decrease in body movement and typically having one's eyes closed. But what is sleep more exactly? We can define sleep as a natural state of rest for the body and mind that involves the reversible loss of consciousness. Surely sleep must be important because it comprises a third of our life, taking up more time than anything else we do. But why is sleep so important? Before tackling this question, let's first consider how sleep is linked to our internal biological rhythms. Biological rhythms are periodic physiological fluctuations in the body. We are unaware of most biological rhythms, such as the rise and fall of hormones and accelerated and decelerated cycles of brain activity, but they can influence our behavior. These rhythms are controlled by biological clocks, which include annual or seasonal cycles, like those involving the migration of birds and the hibernation of bears, as well as 24-hour cycles like the sleep-wake cycle and temperature changes in the human body. Circadian rhythms are daily behavioral or physiological cycles. Daily circadian rhythms involve the sleep-wake cycle, body temperature, blood pressure, and blood sugar levels. For example, body temperatures fluctuates about 3 degrees Fahrenheit in a 24-hour day, peaking in the afternoon and dropping to its lowest point between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Researchers have discovered that the body monitors the change from day to night by means of suprachiasmatic nucleus. We will abbreviate this SCN since it's kind of a hard word to pronounce. But it's a small brain structure that uses the input from the retina to synchronize its own rhythm with the daily cycle of light and dark. The SCN sends information to the hypothalamus and pineal glands to regulate daily rhythms such as temperature, hunger, and the release of hormones such as melatonin. The SCN also communicates with the reticular formation to regulate daily rhythms of sleep and wakefulness. Although a number of biological clocks seem to be involved in regulating circadian rhythms, the SCN is critical. Our capacity to sleep then is embedded in the world we live in, a world that has daylight and nighttime. Since the SCN is guided by the information it receives from the retina to tell us it is time to go to sleep, many individuals who are totally blind experience lifelong sleeping problems because their retinas cannot detect light. These people may suffer from a condition called non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder because their circadian rhythms often do not follow a 24-hour cycle. Desynchronizing the biological clock. Biological clocks can become desynchronized or thrown off their regular schedules. If you fly from LA to New York and then go to bed at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, you may have trouble falling asleep because your body is still on West Coast time. Even if you sleep for 8 hours that night, you may have a hard time waking up at 7 a.m. Eastern Time because your body thinks it's 4 a.m. If you stay in New York for several days, your body will adjust to this new schedule. The jet lag you experience when you fly from LA to New York occurs because your body time is out of phase or synchronization with clock time. Jet lag is the result of 2 or more body rhythms being out of sync. You usually go to bed when your body temperature begins to drop, but in your new location, you might be trying to go to sleep when it is rising. In the morning, your adrenal gland releases large doses of the hormone cortisol to help you wake up. In your new geographic time zone, the glands may be releasing this chemical just as you are getting ready for bed at night. Circadian rhythms may also become desynchronized when shift workers change their work hours. A number of near accidents in air travel have been associated with pilots who have not yet become synchronized to their new shifts and are not working as efficiently as usual. Shift work problems most often affect night shift workers who never fully adjust to sleeping in the daytime after they got off work. Not only might these individuals struggle to stay awake at work, but they may face a heightened risk of illness, gastrointestinal disorders, obesity, and impaired immune system functioning. Resetting the biological clock. If your biological clock for sleeping and waking becomes desynchronized, how can you reset it? With regard to jet lag, if you take a transoceanic flight and arrive at your destination during the day, it is a good idea to spend as much time as possible outside in the daylight. Bright light during the day, especially in the morning, increases wakefulness, whereas bright light at night delays sleep. In a few days, jet lag typically resolves. Another common treatment for jet lag is taking melatonin supplements. Melatonin, a hormone that increases at night in humans, can help reduce jet lag by advancing the circadian clock. Why do we need sleep? All animals require sleep. Furthermore, the human body regulates sleep as it does eating and drinking, and this fact suggests that sleep may be just as essential for surviving. Yet why we need sleep remains a bit of a mystery. A variety of theories have been proposed for the need for sleep. From an evolutionary perspective, sleep may have been developed because animals needed to protect themselves at night. This idea is that it makes sense for animals to be inactive when it's dark because nocturnal inactivity helps them to avoid becoming other animals' prey and injuring themselves due to poor visibility. A second possibility is that sleep is a way to conserve energy. Spending a large chunk of any day sleeping allows animals to conserve their calories, especially when food is scarce. For some animals, moreover, the search for food and water is easier and safer when the sun is up. When it is dark, it is adaptive for these animals to save their energy. Animals that are likely to serve as someone else's food sleep the least of all. A third explanation for the need for sleep is that sleep is restorative. Scientists have proposed that sleep restores, replenishes, and rebuilds the brain and the body, which the day's activities can wear out. This idea fits with the feeling of being tired before we go to sleep and refreshed when we wake up. A final explanation for the need for sleep centers on the role of sleep in brain plasticity. Sleep has been recognized as playing an important role in the ways that experiences influence the brain, especially in how sleep affects the synaptic connections. During sleep, memories are pulled together, resulting in the retention of specific information learned and associations and emotional experiences. So why does sleep improve memory? One possible explanation is that during sleep, the cerebral cortex is free to conduct activities that strengthen memory associations so that memories formed during recent waking hours can be integrated into long-term storage. Lost sleep often results in lost memories, so if you're thinking about studying all night for your next test, you might want to think again. Sleep can enhance your memory. Sleep deprivation. Most people think 8 hours of sleep as a good night's rest. However, the basic amount of sleep each person needs may vary from person to person as a function of age and activities. For example, the optimal amount of sleep for infants is between 14 and 17 hours in a 24-hour period. For an adult, the optimal night's sleep is between 7 and 9 hours. Lack of sleep is stressful and has an impact on the brain as well as the rest of the body. The sleep-deprived brain cannot operate at the same level of complexity as a well-rested brain. Sleep deprivation can decrease alertness and cognitive performance. It can affect your ability to sustain attention and can adverse effects on decision-making because of less complex brain activity. So, why do Americans get too little sleep? Pressures at work and school, family responsibilities, and social obligations often lead to long hours of wakefulness and irregular sleep-wake schedules. Not having enough hours to do all that we want or need to do in a day, we cheat ourselves out of getting enough sleep. So that being said, make sure you get enough regular sleep. Your brain will thank you. Stages of sleep. Have you ever awakened from sleep and been totally disoriented? Or momentarily woke up in the middle of a dream and then gone right back into the dream as if it were a movie running just below the surface of your consciousness? These two experiences reflect two distinct stages in the sleep cycle. Stages of sleep correspond to massive electrophysiological changes that occur throughout the brain as the fast, irregular, and low amplitude electrical activity of wakefulness is replaced by the slow, regular, high amplitude waves of deep sleep. Using the EEG to monitor the brain's electrical activity, as well as the EMG to monitor the actions of motor neurons, scientists have identified the 4 stages of sleep. What are the stages of sleep? There are 4 stages of sleep: non-REM or NREM sleep, which are stages 1, 2, and 3, and REM sleep. Periods of wakefulness occur before and intermittently throughout the various sleep stages or as one shift sleeping position. Wake is the period when brain activity is at its highest and muscle tone is active. Stage 1 is the lightest stage of NREM sleep. Often defined by the presence of slow eye movements, this drowsy sleep stage can easily be disrupted, causing awakings or arousals. Muscle tone throughout the body relaxes and brainwave activity begins to slow from that of wake. Occasionally, people may experience hypnic jerks or abrupt muscle spasms and may even experience sensation of falling while drifting in and out of stage 1. Stage 2 is the first actual stage of defined NREM sleep. Awakenings or arousals do not occur as easily as in stage 1 sleep, and the slow-moving eye rolls discontinue. Brain waves continue to slow with specific bursts of rapid activity known as sleep spindles intermixed with sleep structures known as K-complexes. Both sleep spindles and K-complexes are thought to serve as protection for the brain from awakening from sleep. Body temperature begins to decrease and heart rate begins to slow. Stage 3 is known as deep NREM sleep. The most restorative stage of sleep, stage 3, consists of delta waves or slow waves. Awakenings or arousals are rare, and often it is difficult to awaken somebody in stage 3 sleep. Parasomnias, sleepwalking, sleep talking, and night terrors occur during the deepest stages of sleep. REM sleep, also known as rapid eye movement, is most commonly known as the dreaming stage. Eye movements are rapid, moving from side to side, and brain waves are more active than in stages 2 and 3 in sleep. Awakenings and arousals can occur more easily in REM. Being woken during a REM period can leave one feeling groggy or overly sleepy. Sleep cycling through the night. The stages of sleep we have considered make up a normal cycle of sleep. One of these cycles lasts about 90 to 100 minutes and recurs several times during the night. The amount of deep sleep is much greater in the first half of a night's sleep than in the second half. Most stage R sleep takes place towards the end of the night's sleep, when the REM stage becomes progressively longer. The night's first REM stage might only last for 10 minutes, but the final REM stage might continue for as long as an hour. During a normal night of sleep, individuals will spend about 60% of sleep in light sleep, 20% in slow wave or deep sleep, and 20% in REM sleep. Sleep and the brain. The sleep stages are associated with distinct patterns of neurotransmitter activity initiated in the reticular formation, the core of the brainstem. In all vertebrates, the reticular formation plays a crucial role in sleep and arousal. 3 important neurotransmitters involved in sleep are serotonin, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. As sleep begins, the levels of neurotransmitters sent to the forebrain from the reticular formation start dropping, and they continue to fall until they reach their lowest levels during the deepest sleep stage, stage 3. REM sleep is initiated by a rise in acetylcholine, which activates the cerebral cortex while the rest of the brain remains relatively inactive. Recall that acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter that typically gets our bodies moving. REM sleep ends when there is a rise in serotonin and norepinephrine, which increase the levels of forebrain activity nearly to the awakened state. You are most likely to wake up just after a REM period. If you do not wake up then, the level of neurotransmitters falls again, and you enter another sleep cycle. Sleep throughout the lifespan. Getting enough sleep is important at every stage of human life. This graph shows how total sleep time and time spent in each type of sleep varies over the lifespan. Sleep may benefit physical growth and brain development in infants and children. For example, Deep sleep coincides with the release of growth hormones in children. Children are more likely to sleep well when they avoid caffeine, experience a regular bedtime routine, and do not have a TV or electronic devices such as tablets or cell phones in their bedrooms. As children age, their sleep patterns change. Many adolescents stay up later at night and sleep longer in the morning than they did when they were younger. And these shifting sleep patterns may influence their physiological well-being and academic work. Left to their own devices, adolescents will sleep over 9 hours a night. This need for sleep may be linked to the important brain development that occurs during adolescence. Yet many adolescents get quite a bit less than 9 hours of sleep, especially during the week. This shortfall creates a sleep debt that adolescents often attempt to make up on a weekend. It is important to bear in mind that adolescent sleep changes are not simply about academic work or social pressures. Rather, adolescents' biological clocks undergo a shift as they get older, delaying their period of wakefulness by about an hour. A delay in the nightly release of the sleep-inducing hormone melatonin seems to underlie this shift. Melatonin is secreted at about 9:30 p.m. in younger adolescents and approximately an hour later in older adolescents. Based on research on the adolescent sleep cycle, numerous school districts have begun to delay the start time of high school students. Although experimental evidence is limited, a recent review suggested that later start times lead to more sleep, less sleepiness at school, and less tardiness. Sleep patterns also can change as people age through the middle adult and late adult years. Many adults in these age spans go to bed earlier at night and wake up earlier in the morning than they did in their younger years. Sleep and disease. Sleep plays a role in a large number of disease and disorders. Lack of sleep relates to disease risk, poor health, and earlier death. Importantly, although lack of sleep is often associated with health problems, sleeping too much may also be a sign of problems. Neurons that control sleep interact with the immune system. As anyone who has had the flu knows, infectious diseases make us sleepy. Sleep may help the body conserve energy and other resources it needs to overcome infection. Essentially, lack of sleep is stressful and affects the body just as stressful experiences do. Sleep problems also affect most people who have psychological disorders, including those with depression. Individuals with depression often wake in the early hours of the morning and cannot get back to sleep, and they typically spend less time in deep sleep than individuals who are not depressed. Sleep problems are common in many medical disorders such as Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and cancer. In some cases, however, these problems may arise not from the disease itself, but from the drugs used to treat the disease. Many individuals suffer from undiagnosed and untreated sleep disorders that leave them feeling unmotivated and exhausted throughout the day. The major sleep disorders include insomnia, sleepwalking, and sleep talking, nightmares and night terrors, narcolepsy, and sleep apnea. Theories of dreaming. Have you ever dreamed that you left your long-term romantic partner for a former lover? If so, did you tell your partner about that dream? Not likely. However, you probably wondered about the dream's meanings, and if so, you would not be alone. The meaning of dreams have eternally fascinated human beings. As early as 5000 BCE, Babylonians recorded and interpreted their dreams on clay tablets. Egyptians built temples in honor of Serapis, the god of dreams. Dreams are described at length in more than 70 passages in the Bible. Psychologists have also examined this intriguing topic. Sigmund Freud put great stock in dreams as a key to our unconscious minds. He believed that dreams, even nightmares, symbolize unconscious wishes, and that analysis of dream symbols could uncover our hidden desires. Freud distinguished between a dream's manifest content and its latent content. Manifest content is the dream's surface content, which contains dream symbols that disguise the dream's true meaning. Latent content is the dream's hidden content, its unconscious and true meaning. For example, if a person had a dream about riding on a train and talking with a friend, the train ride would be the dream's manifest content. The manifest content is simply the dream itself. The latent content is the dream's deeper, true meaning. Freud thought that this manifest content expresses a wish in disguised form. To get to the latent or true meaning of the dream, the person would have to analyze the dream images. In our example, the dreamer would be asked to think of all the things that come to mind when the person thinks of a train, the friend, and so forth. By following these associations to the objects in the manifest content, the latent content of the dream could be brought to light. Cognitive theory. The cognitive theory of dreaming proposes that we can understand dreaming by applying the same cognitive concepts we use in studying the waking mind. The theory that rests on the idea that dreams are essentially subconscious cognitive processing, arguing that there is a continuity between waking thought and dreams. Dreaming involves information processing and memory. Indeed, thinking during dreams appear to be very similar to thinking in waking life. In the cognitive theory of dreaming, there is little or no search for the hidden symbolic content of dreams that Freud sought. Instead, dreams are viewed as dramatizations of general life concerns that are similar to relaxed daydreams. Even very unusual aspects of dreams, such as odd activities, strange images, and sudden scene shifts, can be understood as metaphorically related to a person's preoccupations while awake. The cognitive theory also ties the brain activity that occurs during dreams to the activity that occurs during waking life. The cognitive theory of dreaming strongly argues that dreams should be viewed as a kind of mental simulation that is very similar in content to our everyday waking thoughts. The purpose of dreams is to process information, solve problems, and thinking creatively about the issues we face in our daily lives. This perspective on dreams contrasts with activation synthesis theory of dreaming. According to activation synthesis theory of dreaming, dreaming occurs when the cerebral cortex synthesizes neural signals generated from the activity in the lower part of the brain. Dreams results from the brain's attempt to find logic in random brain activity that occurs during sleep. When we are awake and alert, our conscious experiences tends to be driven by external stimuli. All those things we see, hear, and respond to. During sleep, according to activation synthesis theory, conscious experience is driven predominantly by internally generated stimuli that have no apparent behavioral consequence. A key source of such internal stimulation is spontaneous neural activity in the brainstem. Of course, some of the neural activity that produces dreams come from external sensory experiences. If a fire truck with sirens blaring drives past your house, you might find yourself dreaming about an emergency. Many of us have had this experience of incorporating the sound of our alarm clock going off in the early morning dream. Research continues to evaluate whether dreams should be considered as interpretations of random activity or whether they should be regarded as strongly related to waking life. One big reason for the mystery associated with dreams is that dreams, like other content of our minds, are private. Although we can share our dreams with others by talking about them or creating art that seeks to capture them, they are in some ways only truly available to the dreamer. Well, that's it for my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it, and sweet dreams.